And this one is about Joe Rogan. Now, before I get going with this, I do want you guys to know that I do read your emails. I don't always have time to respond. I do read as many DMs as I can. My DM folder is a mess. I'm just being honest. And I hear you guys. Some of you have reached out and said, you think that some of us should start to give credit where credit's due. So, for example, not just talking about stories that a podcaster may have mentioned when they're doing the wrong thing, but also highlight when they do something right. So I want you to know that I've heard you. I can do a better job of that. And I'm going to do that right now. So someone sent me this clip. Now, this is from Rational National. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen that show in a long time, but someone sent me this clip, and I do want to give credit where credit's due here. David Dole, he really did nail down something here about Joe Rogan. And I've told you guys before, I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan. I don't dislike Joe Rogan, but I'm not a Joe Rogan stan like some people. I've only seen like 4 episodes of his show. I haven't made it through the full episodes because they're like 3 hours long. And anyway, that's a me thing. But Joe Rogan's not having a good week. I'm just going to be clear. It was a couple days ago, people were coming after him for some comments that he made about the whole groomer reference. And now it appears that Joe Rogan's own audience is not happy with him. And that's never good, right? So even they're starting to call out some of his takes. And thank you for the person who sent this to me. I forget, but I get a lot of messages. Thank you for the one who sent this to me. Sorry, I'm looking at something else at the same time. I really appreciate that because I do want to give credit where credit's due. Some of the things said here, I cringe. I do feel like Joe Rogan's takes have changed over the past couple years. I don't know what's happening with Joe Rogan, but I will also say, I don't think that's someone that, well, I could be wrong. I mean, I personally don't go to Joe Rogan for political information. I think if you want to go watch that show for entertainment, have at it. But Joe Rogan has said so himself, not to watch his show for political advice. He said he's just a guy sitting there talking. So let's get into this because, again, this is a Rational National. I really do think he had good takes here, so I do want to give credit to that. But something is happening with Joe Rogan, and it is not looking good. So all I'm going to say is brace yourself for this one. This one was difficult to watch. Here we go.
It's this Roe versus Wade thing. I saw it in the news and I need a mental health day. Right. Fuck you. Show up at work. European countries have a point in this more relaxed approach to like the future and your life.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's own subreddit is turning on him over some recent elitist comments. Now, I will show you various examples of that in a minute here. I'm going to show you this clip. It is just another example in a pattern that's been going on for years now.
So what you just saw there at the beginning was a recent clip of him saying, talking about a mental health day. They'll get into that in this video in just a second. And then an older clip. And I think that other clip was from 2017 where he had a different take on that. So his opinions have changed. I don't know what's going on with Joe Rogan. People change. It does happen. But this is not a good look. This is not a good look. So here we go.
As a former avid viewer of the Joe Rogan podcast, I'm well aware of his shift towards a more conservative, leaning show. That is very obvious. Yes, he still has people on that aren't just conservative, but come on. If you look at the list, it's striking how many more conservatives he has on compared to people who are pushing, progressive values. So I'm going to play that for you. I'm also going to play a clip from 4 years ago showing how different he was on this very topic. So first, here are his comments that he made recently on a podcast with Gad Saad about getting time off for a mental health day.
So I do want to say really quick shout out to David Dole because I think he just said this. Let me make sure he said this already. Hold
Lots
on.
of people on that aren't just conservative, but come on. If you look at the list, it's striking how many more conservatives he has on compared to people who are pushing, progressive values. So I'm going to play that for you. I'm also going to play a clip from 4 years ago showing how different he was on this very topic. So first, here are his comments.
Okay, he hasn't said it yet. I'll tell you in a second.
That he made recently on a podcast with Gad Sad about getting time off for a mental health day.
I lean far more left than I do right because I grew up on welfare. I grew up in poverty. We had food stamps when I was a kid. I remember those times. I remember being poor. And I will never say that I don't believe in social services or a social safety net. I think that's crazy. That saved my family. It saved me. And my parents worked their way out of it. My mom and my stepdad worked their way out of that and eventually got off of it and eventually did well. Like a friend of mine who's an employer, she employs people, and she was saying that like some of her employees are saying, I need a mental health day today. She's like, you're not sick. Get the fuck to work.
Right.
What are you talking? You want to get paid for this mental health day? Show the fuck up. We're not talking about your parents just died in a car accident. No, you have a high level of anxiety today. It's this Roe versus Wade thing. I saw it in the news and I need a mental health day. Fuck you. Show up at work. Show up at work and work harder. Get the fuck out of here.
You need to be a bit
this.
more animated, Joe.
I get so crazy about it because I know what it is. All right.
Okay, let's revisit this. There's more, but let's hear this again. Two different things are said here. One, his experience, his personal experience, and other people's experiences. Listen to this.
For a mental health day.
I lean far more left than I do right because I grew up on welfare. I grew up in poverty. We had food stamps when I was a kid. I remember those times. I remember being poor. And I will never say that I don't believe in social services or a social safety net. I think that's crazy. That saved my family. It saved me. And my parents worked their way out of it. My mom and my stepdad worked their way out of that and eventually got off of it and eventually did well.
Two things. Joe Rogan, he's doing something that I've seen other celebrities do here. I'm talking about celebrities that grew up in poverty and got out of it, right? I think it's great that his parents were able to get out of that. But here's the kicker. The majority of people who grow up in poverty don't get out of poverty. People like Joe Rogan, they're outliers. Most people who grow up poor do not get out. They have children, their children grow up in poverty, and their children's children grow up in poverty. It's a cycle. Now, I know about this, not just from research, but from personal experience. My parents grew up poor, very poor, in Baltimore, Maryland. And my dad will tell you today, had it not been for him joining the military, he believes that he would still be in poverty. That was his ticket out. My dad didn't join the military because he cared so much about his country. He joined to get out of poverty. That goes into another issue about how the military industrial complex targets people in low-income neighborhoods. That is a fact. But just because it happened for Joe Rogan doesn't mean that everybody else can do it. That's the problem here. So this mentality that some people have, well, I grew up poor and I got out of poverty. Congratulations. Kudos for you. The other thing I want to mention is that you have to think about the economy, the economic situation back then compared to how things are now. We're going back to a time where you're talking about like our parents, if they wanted to go to college, they weren't paying what we have to pay to go to college now. My dad took classes at community college. My dad paid $50 for one semester. You can't even pay that at community college now. You can't. So we're looking at two different times. So for me, I felt like that was pretty cringe. I'm sorry. But this part right here.
A friend of mine who's an employer, she employs people, and she was saying that like some of her employees are saying, I need a mental health day today. She's like, you're not sick. Get the fuck to work.
Right.
What are you talking? You want to get paid for this mental health day? Show the fuck up. Right. We're not talking about your parents just died in a car accident. No, you have a high level of anxiety today. You know, it's this Roe versus Wade thing. I saw it in the news and I need a mental health day. Right. Fuck you. Show up at work. Show up.
So this is another example of people not taking mental health seriously. First of all, define sick. So you can only take a sick day if you're physically sick. What about your mental health? This is also why, and I was talking to my husband about this earlier. This is also why I don't like the fact that some people have these supervisors that if you just want to take a personal day, you have to tell them why you're taking that day off. Why do I have to tell you? If I say I'm taking a personal day, I'm taking a personal day. Now, here you have an employee that felt like, for whatever reason, she can confide in her supervisor and tell her, listen, I need a mental health day. That's not easy for people to do. A lot of people that have mental health issues, they don't talk about this with their coworkers. Damn, the supervisor. A lot of them don't want people to know about it because they don't want to be ridiculed, or they don't want people to say something that Joe Rogan just said right here. So the fact that she even had the guts to say that to her supervisor, hey, I need to take a mental health day, that says a lot. And I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. You have to take care of yourself first. If your physical health is not good, if your mental health is not good, are you going to be able to be 100% at work? You got to take care of yourself first. So again, I don't know where Joe Rogan was going with this, but I feel like if this was 4 years ago, I feel like he wouldn't have made this comment. He would have said it in a different way. I don't feel like he would have been insensitive to this issue. So I do feel like he is changing. It is what it is. Just admit that. But this is not good. And his own viewers are calling him out on it. His own audience. Go look at Reddit. Let's go back in.
People work and work harder. Get the fuck out of here.
You need to be a bit
this.
more animated, Joe.
I get so crazy about it because I know what it is.
All right. So before I even comment on this and show you some reactions, many of the reactions online from viewers and former viewers, and also a clip from 4 years ago showing a very different Rogan, I have to say, I looked for the context for this clip because the one shown on that was shared on Reddit was only like 15 seconds. It was just the, get back to work portion.
That's the part I wanted you guys to hear. Let me comment about that for a second. So I am going to give David kudos for that, because I have noticed, and this tends to happen more so on Twitter, people will take a clip from Twitter and they'll just go do a show about that clip. They don't provide any context. They don't do any research to see what was said before and what was said after that clip. They don't see the full dialogue. This is actually happening on Twitter right now as we speak. So when I see these clips on Twitter of people with videos, I always go back and find the original video so I can see the context. People take clips and they edit them and put things in, mix things around to make it seem like someone's saying something that they're not really saying. And I've seen journalists and commentators just take those clips off Twitter, don't do any research, don't look into the context, and then report about it on their show. We have to do better. So I'm glad that he did dig a little bit deeper to see what was the full message and not just go off of the clip that was on Twitter there.
I I now need a mental health day because I had to watch 3 hours of this podcast only to find that this was at the very end of the episode. Now, it was on 2x speed, so I got to save a little time there, but my God, the amount of garbage that was thrown, there could be like 6 or 7 stories on the amount of shit he talked about during this insane episode with Gad Sad, but let's put that aside because I want to get to these reactions online. So first, credit here to Humanist Report for sharing this out. He's a great YouTube show. I'll link to below the video. Check out the Humanist Report. Now, before I show you the comments online, the clip they shared on Reddit did not show you the part where he's talking about his upbringing and, you know, his family working hard to get out of poverty and supporting a safety net and being progressive.
See what I was saying about those clips that people share?
Good. How do you not, from that experience, understand how lucky you were?
I'll tell you why, David. And this is something we've talked about on RBN a couple of times. Because some of these celebrities that grew up poor, they become celebrities, they're rich, all of a sudden, they tend to have this mindset that anyone else can do it. And that's not true. And I'm talking about people like Morgan Freeman, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry. They're notorious for, I grew up in poverty. I grew up poor, and if I did it, anyone can do it. No, if anyone can do it, then more people would be out of poverty. Oh my God. No. So you have some of these celebrities, they grew up poor, they become celebrities, and all of a sudden, all class consciousness just goes out the window. They start talking down on their own class. The working class. People who are poor, they start talking down on those people. You guys need to work hard. You need to work harder. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. It happens. Something I talk about often. That's why I said a lot of these celebrities, especially some of the Black celebrities, a lot of them are class loyal first. They pretend to be about an issue and for the cause. And the moment their agent says you need to pull back, they pull back. That happened with Mark Ruffalo. That's happened with Will Smith. That's happened with Morgan Freeman. It also happened with Susan Sarandon. And I don't think Susan Sarandon should have removed the tweet that she had about the NYPD. She was spot on. She removed it and came back and apologized. Let's go back in.
That your parents lived in a time where hard work did sometimes pay off, could pay off. Let me show you. I mean, and Rogan knows this as well because of previous commentary he's done, but it's like he separates parts of his mind depending on who's in the podcast in front of him. Because this from the Economic Policy Institute, the gap between productivity and a typical worker's compensation has increased dramatically since 1979. So, you know, back in the 70s, maybe early 80s, when Rogan was younger and his parents were working hard to get out of poverty and had a more of a safety net, they actually got rewarded. Or I shouldn't say rewarded, but they actually earned, you know, they worked and they earned what they worked for. Yet since then, productivity continues increasing, yet compensation barely does. So you see this clear separation here between hard work and the money you make from that hard work.
Right. This is the difference. And this is what I was telling people. This is the difference. We're working just as hard. Some people working twice as hard. But when it comes to income, when it comes to our salary, it doesn't show. Hell, the minimum wage is still $7 and what, 25 cents an hour?
Rogan, his complaint are that people aren't working hard enough, even though all data shows that they are. You would think someone who grew up in poverty understands this would have a little more empathy, a little more understanding for people who are in a situation where they are working insane hours and not getting paid enough. That
they're rich now, Dave. He's rich now. You'd think they would.
Maybe taking a day off, mental health day, sick day, whatever it is, taking a day off is a very one of their only outlets for a break to actually live a proper life separate from the work they have to do to just stay above water. I mean, for him to, this shows you how elitist he has become. And this is why people have stopped listening, and why you're going to see a lot of these reactions online are people that just, they can't relate to him anymore. So he was once a person who understood, the plight of the worker, and a lot of his commentary now, not all of it, but a lot of it now is just this. Now, I will say before I go further, I'm not going to comment on, the abortion rights aspect of this. He has come out to support abortion rights.
I want to answer this really quick. Baba says, Logan wasn't talking about people having work hard. He's talking about people using an excuse like Roe Wade to take off work. That's what I'm getting. I don't know, Baba. Even last year, I did a show where Joe Rogan was talking about paid parental leave. He changed his position on that too, that he doesn't think that people should get paid parental leave. So, and a couple years ago, did he say that? No, he said the exact opposite. So when it comes to the work, I don't know. Like I said, his positions and his views have changed.
He's against the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So again, Rogan has, still good positions that exist, but this mentality in terms of the pressure on the worker and him not being aware of that, or not wanting to acknowledge that, or the importance of that, is just, it's glaring, and it's been going on for years now. So some reactions, I just want to share this as well. This is another example of this recently, this mindset. Rogan doesn't get why men take paternity leave. So that also made the news. Though I think after the reaction, he came out to change his mind, or at least, alter his perspective a little bit after there was some good perspectives or opinions that were taking him down. But all right, let's get to some reactions now to this before I get to the clip from 4 years ago. So this one here, Joe Rogan during COVID, quote, mental health is extremely important. We need everybody or everything open, and the government telling you what to do with your body by forcing vaccines is authoritarian. Joe during Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. LOL, F you and your mental health. Just work, you stupid cog. And the government telling you what to do with your body is no big deal, you pussies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming from his own audience, you guys. That's coming from Joe Rogan's own audience. Reggie said Rogan is a Texan now. He used to be a Californian. Oh, Reggie. Oh, Reggie. Yeah. I don't know. I have noticed that his framing has changed. Bill Bradley, Rogan might reach bad conclusions, but anyone whose mind can change is a person whose mind is open. Far better than a person with a closed mind whose positions never move. That's a good point as well. Good point, Bill.
It's definitely the disconnect there is clear. This comment, imagine being so mentally weak that you take a day off for being sad while Joe is preparing his new lethal comedy techniques in his mansion, all while conquering his inner bitch in the sauna. This just made me laugh. The poor stool won't know what hit it. Joe knows that life's real struggles take place in 20-minute increments in the sauna. Again, going to Joe's very disconnected, very privileged life now that he is incredibly wealthy from doing a podcast where he just sits down and talks to people. I mean, Rogan knows, and I think he's acknowledged this, that this isn't work for him. This is, him having fun. People doing actual work, as I'll get to, example in a second here. This person who was an essential worker during the pandemic. These are the actual workers, the people that hold society up, that, let them have a mental health day every now and then. Like, who, for that to bother you, what should bother you is they aren't getting enough time off. And that's what used to bother him, as I will show you shortly. But this comment here, before COVID, I also subscribed to the just work hard pussy. Then COVID hit, and as an essential worker, I continued working hard while everybody chilled at home. So 5 days a week, working 8 to 10 hour shifts, keeping society from collapsing, only to come home to my 300 square foot apartment and do nothing. That is hard work. That is hard life. And did we get any reward for it? Nothing. Oh,
yeah, that's a good example. That's a really good example. The people who were essential workers, a lot of people don't know. There's more here as well, but I want to get to the part where he shows you the difference Okay, here we go.
On this topic.
European countries have a point in this more relaxed approach to like the future and your life.
Yeah.
They really do. This conqueror's mentality. I wonder how many heart attacks we have in comparison to European people.
I don't know.
You know what's fucked up?
What?
Sick time. Like I ran out of sick days.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what? What do you mean?
You're sick.
Like you're sick.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine telling somebody, like, buddy, you're out of sick days. I'm gonna have to dock your pay. And you're dying. What? I can't breathe. They got you on IVs and shit. I don't care. You're out of sick days. In order to keep revenue flowing, we must keep you in the process.
Yeah.
What? You have a certain amount of days you're allowed to be sick.
They get it better in other places.
They absolutely should.
There's
First
an
of all,
expectation that you go fucking see the world and go do stuff.
40-hour work week is bullshit.
Bullshit.
It's
You're not
bullshit.
productive that level.
Nobody
So you guys hear the difference? Now, obviously, like this is from the past.
should do it.
Look at how different that Joe Rogan was. Standing up for the working class, calling bullshit on the 40-hour work week, and talking about, the importance of sick days, yet modern Joe Rogan yelling at people for taking one day off of work because they're stressed or it's Roe v. Wade or whatever the hell the reason is. Who cares what the reason is? Getting angry because they want to take a day off of work. Yeah, a very different Rogan. And quickly here are, this is some recent data from the demographics of what Rogan's audience is. So this shared by Morning Consult a few months ago. Looking at views in terms of Democratic, Independent, Republicans. So you see here a plurality of his avid fans are Republican at 40.
So this part here, I don't think is as important. And the reason why I say that, I don't care if Joe Rogan's audience, if it's more conservatives than Democrats, independent. I don't really care because, again, Joe Rogan has said so himself that he does not have a political show. Yes, he's had some candidates come on there. I think Bernie was on there one time. Yeah, Bernie was on Joe Rogan's show. He's had a couple of candidates come on, but he said multiple times it's not a political show. There have been celebrities that come on there. All different types of people go on to Joe Rogan's show. So this is the part where I don't think this works well with his show in particular. If it was a political show and he was showing their audience base, then I would understand this. But again, it's not a political show. So again, I don't care. I don't care that Joe Rogan's audience is majority conservative. So what? I'm just like, I don't know. No. But yeah, he's showing the difference here. So you can see that. I'll pull this back up. So you can see that. And the ideology, the party is up here. The ideology is down here below. Avid fans, non-fans. I mean, this doesn't show me anything that I was surprised by, but again, it's not a political show. So Greg says, I feel like he used to look at things from an apolitical lens, not anymore though. Yeah, I guess I can see that too. I mean, it just is what it is. I think the reason some people are freaking out is because remember Joe Rogan did endorse Bernie Sanders and that was like a big deal. He got heat for doing that. And then Bernie Sanders also got heat because he got an endorsement from Joe Rogan. So I think that's why some people are freaking out. It's like, how did you go from endorsing Bernie Sanders to the things that you're saying today? So again, like I said, people do change, but yeah, I guess his audience has not really been feeling it. But that's pretty much it for this video here. I do want to address something that came up in the chat. Yuri Nation said sick is not mental health. Let's look up the definition of sick, because I think this is a common belief that people have. So here's the definition of sick. Sick, affected by physical or mental illness. Sick, affected by physical or mental illness. So that's that. Go to some of the comments in the chat. Shout out to JB Font, comrade from RBN. Then they wonder why their employees aren't as productive. They aren't flippant about mental health and discredit the needs of their employees. It's true, man. It's true. Joy. Yes, Oprah Winfrey is an outlier, especially anyone that rich. Sure, she worked hard and is super smart, but I bet there is a lot of luck in being in the right place at the right time. And also, in her particular case, also screwing over a lot of people. Roman Smith, 400 million weighs heavy on one's empathy. Oh, good point, Roman. Oz, Dole is using this for clicks and subs. Dole is not your friend. Dole is the epitome of a grifter. Yeah, I'm not saying Dole is a friend. I don't know David Dole, never met him. Don't watch the show anymore. Like I told you, I haven't watched it in years, but I did think that this was interesting. Like I said, someone sent this to me, and I do want to do a better job of giving credit where credit is due, whether I follow that person or not. Thank you for this super chat, Andrew. I don't hate Rogan, but he's wrong for this. I've had panic attacks while tutoring my students. Yeah, man. Especially during like the pandemic, mental health has been, whew. Thank you for this super chat as well, Andrew. Don't get it twisted. The likes of David Dole, the Humanist Report, and TYT don't care about workers either. They're using this to pretend they do. Thank you for this super chat, Andrew. Rogan can say whatever he wants, but he should talk more about his lefty views. Imagine how great it would be if he talked more about single payer. He changed his position on Medicare for all. He changed his position on Medicare for all last year. So that was one of the episodes that I saw, like part of it, where he said that after talking to doctors, he doesn't think Medicare for all would work. Maybe he's changed it again, but I don't know. That was last year. Larry, hey, Sabby, I need to take a day off because my shirt was shrunk in the dryer. I don't care why you take your day off. I really don't care. I don't know. I would be a different kind of boss. Like, I'm like, look, I don't need to know why you're taking the day off. If you want to take a personal day, just say, hey, I'm taking a personal day. I don't care about you don't need to tell me the reason. Obviously, if it's an emergency and you're in some kind of like danger or whatever, I'd want you to get some help. But I think that some supervisors have taken advantage of that. I know for me, like for one, I don't like telling people like my personal business at work. Like if it was something personal, and I've had some supervisors where they're like, they need to know exactly what's going on. I'm like, why? So you guys can gossip with other employees about it? Gotta be careful what you tell people. Gotta be careful.